Earnhardt Sr. has come from 17th spot in 4 laps to lead it on the final lap.
But Kenny Wallace is in second spot, followed by
his teammate,
Joe Nemechek.
Nemechek was the pole sitter, and Kenny Wallace has likewise never won a Winston Cup race. 3 Chevrolets on the final lap at Talladega. $2.7 million and $1 million bonus for Dale Earnhardt if he can hang on. The No Bull 5 contender, Mr. Restricted Place, Dale Earnhardt comes down and will take his 10th career victory at Talladega.
Nearly every race fan knows who Dale Earnhardt is, and probably the track they associate him with the most is Talladega, a track where he won 10 times at. It's also the track where he got his 76th and last career victory. But with 10, there has to be a first, a place where this journey all started, Dale Earnhardt's first Talladega victory. The year is 1983, and the NASCAR Cup Series is at the Alabama International Motor Speedway, and it's July. The race favorite is the lethal 28 car, with veteran Cale Yarborough behind the wheel. Earlier this season, Cale claimed his 3rd Daytona 500. Over the last few years, Cale has been cherry-picking races and dominating all of them. The 2 championship favorites, however, are Bobby Allison and Darrell Waltrip. The 2 are in a hot championship fight, and with still over 10 races left, anything can happen. Finally, there is the 15 car, driven by Dale Earnhardt for Bud Moore. Dale was in his 2nd season with Bud, and has had what has been a mechanical nightmare of a season. While they won 2 races ago at Nashville, Dale is barely top 10 in points. With a plethora of DNFs due to engine failures, he is qualified 4th, and on a misty day at Talladega, we go green.
He is all focused on one thing, the green flag, and trying to get a break. Here come a lot of cars pick up on that draft if he indeed does have 2 miles an hour over the rest of the field, which I would doubt with an engine change as they go into turn number 1 up on that 35-degree banking for the first time on this 2.6-mile track. Cale jumps out in front, and you're looking at the back as Harry Gant and Barney Parsons begin to make their moves. Parsons is pulling up into 2nd place. Gant getting trapped to the wall and then getting back in again.
Already the racing is fast and tight. The cars slip along when suddenly on lap 2...
Ease, of course, the fact that he could move by that quickly. He picked up the draft of Cale Yarborough and just moved right around.
They are in turn 3. Earnhardt has moved to 3rd spot. A car spinning to the bottom. It is Neil Bonnet in 75, and another car hammers the wall. Cars slowing, trying to get away. 1 car head on to the wall. A terrible crash at the beginning. The front of the field is coming across. Car number 76. Bonner ends up down in there. There are at least 4 or 5 cars involved.
Neil Bonnet is already out. The 78 of Dr. Rich Skillen, Grant Adcox in the 29 car, and Tom McGail in the 64 is also totaled. Adcox got out but is getting medical help now. Dr. Skillen is over there standing with Grant as they put him on a stretcher and take him away. Tom McGail also stood with him as a drastic cleanup of the wreck begins. Dave Marcus's team begins repairs on the apparent minor damage, and during the long caution and after various attempts to clean out apparent debris in his eye, Tim Richmond is pulled out of his 27 car and Neil Bonnet's put in. After nearly 20 minutes, the race finally goes back green. The top 2 immediately start to leg it, as Terry Labonte and Dale Earnhardt head into the corner that Bobby Allison reported had too much oil on it for a green flag run. Cale Yarborough now attaches to the top 3, and the trio begins to work away from the pack. From that crash on lap 2, 7 of the 40 cars are officially out, with a few others damaged. The pack has now caught the leaders once again, and Buddy Baker charges by them all to the lead. Cale Yarborough gets Earnhardt for 2nd now, and soon Baker, Earnhardt, and Yarborough get in a battle for the lead. They swap it lap after lap, and then suddenly Cale slows. He's way off pace, and Ned Jarrett on the broadcast tries to ask him what's wrong, but they can't hear him. The 28 crew quickly surfaces him with what could be a flat tire, and Cale's soon on the edge of being a lap down. Baker in his 21 is stalking him, and laps him through the tri-oval. For laps, Dale Earnhardt tries desperately to get by the lap car Cale Yarborough, and finally gets there. Suddenly, Dale Earnhardt and Jeff Bodine slow out of nowhere. Bodine rolls around easy, and Buddy Baker soon pits. Dale Earnhardt is in as well, and the next lap is Terry Labonte. Neil Bonnet, driving Tim Richmond's car, is now leading the race, and during the cycle, various other drivers flood in. Bonnet pits finally, and once again Buddy Baker takes the lead, and leads a trio as they lap past cars. Terry Labonte and Bill Elliott are the drivers behind Buddy, and Baker holds a steady point at the front, but now 4th place Dale Earnhardt is slowly reeling some of the leaders back in. Soon Cale comes back in and makes another stop, and now Dale Earnhardt has charged to 2nd, going for the lead. The top 10 are all together now, with nobody seeming to make a charge at Baker. Past lap 64, Terry Labonte detonates from the lead pack into turn 1, and the oil brings out the caution. Racing back, Cale is darting through the field, with Jeff Bodine in front of him. Cale is 3 wide, trying desperately, and at the line, it's hard to tell if Cale will get his lap back. They eventually do give it to him, and the field comes in and pits under the yellow. Everyone has serviced their vehicles and go back out on track. The race goes back green again, and the field is missing somebody. Buddy Baker. The mighty leader is now limping around the apron off of the pit lane with an obvious mechanical issue. His day is more than likely over. Meanwhile, Neil Bonnet and Dale Earnhardt race for the lead, and suddenly Bobby Allison goes 3 wide. The racing is ferocious at the point. Bobby now grabs the lead and 5 bonus points for the championship, and soon Benny Parsons a lap down passes Bobby Allison, helping Neil Bonnet by for the lead as well. In the garage while this is all going on, Buddy Baker's reporting that he had no brakes, and that's why he's out. The front row starts to space out with Earnhardt bearing down on Bonnet. Lingering in the back now, just waiting for his moment, is Cale Yarborough. And Earnhardt soon gets the lead, and Bonnet pushes his friend down the straightaways. As the race progresses, the field starts to shuffle around again. Cale Yarborough is taking the lead again, increasing the pace to 197 miles an hour. And out of nowhere is Ron Bouchard, the miracle winner from 1981, racing hard with Dale Earnhardt and Cale Yarborough. And they near halfway, Lake Speed in the 1 car pulls in with an oil leak. Rain is beginning to be reported around the track, and the next cycle stops is about to begin, and Dale Earnhardt is the first one in. The next lap it's Bill Elliott coming in on lap 100, and he gets the same service that Earnhardt did in the lap prior. Cale is in the next lap now with Richard Petty behind him, and Petty has the faster stop and pulls out first in front of the 28. After a while, the only car still on track is Bobby Allison, and with a clear pit road he comes flying down the pit lane. After that, Dale Earnhardt has now cycled out way ahead of the large pack, who are all racing for 3rd. Earnhardt and Jeff Bodine are drafting perfectly together, keeping a massive lead and doing everything right with just 80 laps left. Finally, Cale Yarborough catches Earnhardt and Bodine, and the battle is on once again with the pack. Bill Elliott battles on with the leaders, with cracks growing quickly across his windshield. Bodine now leads as the race rages on to the final 200 miles. Richard Petty now charges to the point, and Earnhardt now goes 3 wide in the 1. Earnhardt again is at the front. Bonnet's back to 2nd behind him, and Neil, instead of riding now, hops to the inside and passes his fishing buddy. Petty and Earnhardt ride side by side now, and Waltrip takes advantage, passing both 3 wide. Bodine soon is the first one to pit, and now it's a waiting game for the next stops. Soon pit stops begin, and Kyle Petty's one of them coming down the pit lane. Kyle's sick and wants out now. Terry Labonte is climbing in, and he's going to be the relief driver for the rest of the race. More cars keep coming, headlined by Darrell Waltrip taking left side tires and fuel. Bill now has a massive hole in the windshield, and whilst Bonnet and Waltrip race on, Bobby Allison is again staying out longer than anybody else. As the cycle finishes up with about 50 laps left, Cale Yarborough has pulled off and he is done. Appears to be something wrong with his engine, and now one of the biggest contenders is out. Allison finally comes in and takes left side tires and gas. Cale in the garage out of the race gets an interview from CBS, and they ask him who he thinks can win. He says Dale Earnhardt. 40 laps left now, and Bonnet still leads with Petty at the front. The clouds off of 1 and 2 look extremely ominous now, and Earnhardt charges hard now. Dale is 2nd, with Petty leading, and Bonnet soon pushes Dale by Richard, and the two again lead the field. With roughly 30 laps left, Dale is in for his final stop. Now it's time for everybody else. Next is Harry Gant, who blows past his stall. Bobby Allison comes in the next lap, and has issues, but eventually pulls off. The skies keep growing darker as the field runs longer on fuel. More cars flood in, led by Elliott. Petty is also in and flies off the pit lane. Waltrip and Bonnet still lead, possibly hoping for rain to plague the finish. And suddenly Bill Elliott is back in, having to change tires yet again. Coming to 16 to go, Waltrip finally comes in the pit lane. And while Sterling Marlin slows on track, Waltrip only takes fuel, undercutting the entire field. Ricky Rudd now is doing the same strategy. Bonnet's team, meanwhile, has locked in. They think it's going to rain at any moment, and they're willing to run the car dry. The strategy fails, and Bonnet runs out of gas. He pits and loses the draft, and Waltrip roars by and leads now, with Earnhardt stock in the 11 car. Ricky Rudd is also in third now, and rain looms overhead, and the race tightens more and more. Waltrip and Earnhardt start to spread away, and Earnhardt is waiting for his moment. Ricky Rudd suddenly stalls from a failed ignition and pulls to the apron. He is done. Bobby Allison is now leading the charge back to the top 2, and 5 cars race at the front with 7 laps left. 4 laps left now, and the field sprints past another lapper. Dale looks left and right and crosses the line with 3 laps to go. The top 3 slightly separate, and there are 2 laps to go now. It is apparent he is going to wait till the white flag to make his move. Earnhardt starts to lay back through 4. Coming to the white, he makes a charge. Allison pushes him, and to the inside he goes down the backstretch. Waltrip blocks to the apron, but Dale and Allison clear going into 3. Off of turn 4, it's going to be another Talladega nail-biter home to the checkered flag.
So Allison pulls around. Now here comes Waltrip. He'll get 1 counter charge out of the tri-oval area. Waltrip will take 1 more shot, and here he comes. Allison dropping down, giving him room. He moves to the inside. There are lap cars there. Waltrip is coming up. They come up for the left car, and the winner is Earnhardt.
Fantastic racing. You see the crew, Bud Moore and the crew very happy there.
They're the losers, and they're the winners. Dale Earnhardt has done it. He did it in style.
Dale Earnhardt wins from a helpful push from Bobby Allison, making sure his championship rival didn't win the race. Dale Earnhardt is a Talladega winner, and little would know of the legacy that was about to be built at the Talladega racetrack with the Earnhardt name.